Like Justin Baldoni saying, "I'd love to work with Blake again."
Everything seemed routine on a Saturday night, until one offhand joke on live television lit a powder keg of celebrity drama that no one saw coming. It all started with a quick quip by Colin Jost on SNL, calling out Blake Lively's ongoing legal feud. In that moment, the audience laughed, but insiders realized it was a precision strike. Those few words dropped on air peeled back the curtain to reveal a much deeper battle waging in Hollywood's shadows, a fight fraught with rumored affairs, secret alliances, redacted complaints, and scandalous legal maneuvers. Why would a single joke stir up such chaos? And how did we reach a point where an ex-CIA agent was brought in to do damage control? The answers lie in a twisted story that begins with heartbreak, weaves through hush-hush studio deals, and escalates into one of the most polarizing legal showdowns in recent memory. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively may appear to be the ultimate power couple, but behind the perfect smiles and red carpet glamour, there's a turbulent storm. Allegations and countersuits, PR firms that operate like intelligence agencies, and a network of celebrities forced to pick sides. That's the real battlefield. Even more surprising is how comedic actor Colin Jost, known for his weekend update segments, became the unexpected spark for an explosion of finger-pointing and rumor-mongering. In Hollywood, loyalty can turn fluid at the drop of a dime, and a supposedly lighthearted television bit can serve as the catalyst for revisiting dark secrets, like the alleged affair that shattered Scarlett Johansson's marriage, rumored tensions with Taylor Swift, and the rising star who dared to accuse a leading lady of sabotage. The story that follows is equal parts shocking, revealing, and downright messy. But it's in that mess that we find the fascinating reality of how celebrity power truly works. A few years ago, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were unstoppable. He was the cheeky action hero with comedic timing, and she was the glamorous actress beloved by fans. They'd hustle down red carpets together, post charming photos on social media, and project an image so flawless that tabloids scrambled to catch even the slightest crack. But that perfection is a myth, and it didn't just unravel on its own. An unexpected swirl of rumors about clandestine relationships and quiet behind-the-scenes feuds set the stage. Then, one simple joke on SNL cracked it wide open for everyone to see. Prepare yourself, because by the time you reach the end of this story, you'll be questioning how easily illusions can shatter in a town where reputation is currency and secrets rarely stay buried. Not long ago, Saturday Night Live aired an episode that leaned heavily on political satire. Most viewers were ready for comedic jabs at world leaders and presidents, but no one expected the name Blake Lively to be lobbed into the chaos. The joke from Colin Jost was quick, almost tossed off, but it was anything but random. To those who track insider gossip, it seemed specifically designed to poke at Lively's then-new lawsuit against a lesser-known actor named Justin Baldoni. The joke implied that working with Blake again would be as impossible as repairing a ruined relationship, effectively drawing a parallel between international political fiascos and the swirling disputes around her. The audience, in typical SNL fashion, erupted with laughter. A few seconds later, social media exploded with theories. Had Jost gone rogue? Or was this a calculated move by the show's writers? After all, SNL had recently allowed Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband, to poke fun at the same lawsuit during an anniversary special. That moment had also ignited debate online. Why would a husband mock a situation involving his wife's serious accusations, especially on a stage as public as SNL? Many speculated that the show was merely returning the favor, turning Lively into a running punchline because her own spouse had opened the door. Yet, there was an even stranger twist. Colin Jost is married to Scarlett Johansson, Ryan Reynolds' ex-wife. For those who believe in cosmic coincidences, this was too juicy to dismiss. The comedic jab wasn't just about Blake's legal trouble. It appeared to reawaken old skeletons, including rumors that Ryan left Scarlett under suspicious circumstances. As fans replayed the clip, dissecting every smirk and word, the tension between the parties involved intensified. Was this joke just a comedic footnote, or a signal that major Hollywood players had taken sides against Lively? If so, it came at the worst time for her, as she was already in hot water trying to prove serious claims in a pending lawsuit. Still, the bigger question was why SNL decided to wade into this storm repeatedly. People who follow entertainment politics suggested that SNL producers knew exactly how the joke would land. Once Ryan Reynolds joked about it on their stage, they had tacit permission to do the same. Whether that permission was official or merely implied, The result was a heightened sense of intrigue swirling around the alleged drama. And little did the public know that the real battles were taking place far away from the cameras, in the legal offices where multi-million-dollar stakes and battered reputations were on the line. Before Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were the it couple, he was married to Scarlett Johansson. Their union didn't last long, and tabloids at the time buzzed with suggestions of an illicit link to Blake, though nothing was ever confirmed. Nevertheless, rumor mills love a salacious story, and in Hollywood, smoke alone can cast suspicion. According to those rumors, Scarlett's marriage allegedly hit a rough patch after Ryan and Blake grew close on set. In typical Hollywood style, these suggestions drifted into the background once Scarlett and Ryan formalized their divorce. The narrative ended up overshadowed by bigger headlines. Reynolds and Lively eventually married and seemed to radiate happiness in public appearances. But the SNL fiasco resurfaced every bit of that old speculation. Suddenly, fans were reminded of the possibility that Jost, now married to Scarlett, might personally hold grudges against Blake, or at least find it humorous to needle her on live television. It was a full circle moment, as internet commentators put it, in which comedic timing intersected with personal vendettas and swirling rumors. Even if no one openly admitted it, the sense of cosmic retribution hung in the air. Online threads lit up with theories about whether Scarlett and Colin harbored simmering resentments. After all, the breakup narrative had portrayed Ryan as the star who swiftly moved on from Scarlett to Blake, raising eyebrows about just how amicable that transition was or wasn't. While some viewers dismissed these rumors as too far-fetched, the significance of old grudges in Hollywood shouldn't be underestimated. A-listers often bury the hatchet in public to keep their images pristine, but behind the scenes, forgive and forget is hardly a universal principle. People remember who burned them, who cost them roles, and who stepped into a relationship they considered sacred. Gossip rarely disappears. It just goes dormant. Then, at the slightest provocation, such as an ill-timed SNL joke, it resurfaces to complicate everyone's lives. Thus, an event that might appear to be random comedic relief on late-night TV can actually be a domino pushing years of hidden tension to the surface. While rumors of a possible betrayal fueled online conversations, the immediate controversy centered on Blake Lively's explosive legal battle with Justin Baldoni. She filed a lawsuit that implied severe misconduct on set, using carefully chosen language to comply with YouTube's guidelines and mainstream media sensitivity. Terms like accusations surfaced took the place of direct references to the alleged harassment. In essence, she claimed that Baldoni had gone beyond mere disagreements and created a hostile environment. Initially, many in Hollywood, and especially those involved in the same production, sided with Blake. She was a known quantity, a major star, and her word carried weight. Reputations are everything in show business. Baldoni was far less famous, which meant he was more vulnerable when Lively's allegations emerged. Almost immediately, cast members, producers, and even longtime fans dropped him on social media. Some posted supportive messages for Blake. Others quietly unfollowed Baldoni's accounts to avoid controversy. For a moment, it looked like Lively's narrative was widely accepted. The problem began when tangible proof or corroborating statements failed to surface, as expected. People asked why those supposed victims or witnesses never came forward. Then, contradictory articles started appearing, painting Baldoni in a more sympathetic light. In short, the story got messy. What made matters even thornier was that Ryan Reynolds, arguably the most recognizable name in the conversation, seemed to bungle his public support for Blake. Instead of framing the lawsuit as a serious matter and letting legal experts handle the discussions, he made an ill-advised joke about it at an SNL anniversary event. Fans erupted, appalled at the idea that someone would treat an alleged case of harassment like easy fodder for comedic banter. Even supporters of the couple felt uneasy. In a world hyper-aware of how serious allegations must be treated, Ryan's attempt at humor landed like a lead balloon, fueling criticisms that neither he nor Blake was taking the situation entirely seriously. Celebrity culture thrives on loyalty, until that loyalty begins to cost more than it's worth. At first, A-list actors and lesser-known co-stars alike seemed to rally behind Blake. She was glamorous, powerful, and well-connected. According to some insiders, she also made it clear that anyone who supported Baldoni risked being blacklisted from her circle, an intimidating prospect if you rely on networking for future roles. Yet as the legal details trickled in, something flipped. People started to see cracks in Blake's narrative. contradictory timelines, hush-hush HR complaints that both Sony and production partners denied receiving, and rumors that Blake strong-armed the studio to keep Baldoni away from premieres. For the first time, journalists and everyday fans alike were asking if maybe she had overreached. SNL's cheeky references only added to the shifting perception. The show wouldn't keep mocking the lawsuit if they believed it was genuinely tragic, or if they were concerned about potential backlash from industry heavyweights. The cumulative effect of these comedic jabs made some wonder if top insiders knew something the public didn't. For instance, that the claims might have been strategically inflated, or that some key facts had been obscured. Suddenly, those who had publicly backed Blake started to distance themselves. Some deleted tweets, others quietly unfollowed or avoided any mention of the case altogether. Colleen Hoover, Liz Plank, and others who once showed support disappeared from the conversation. Perhaps they realized their early show of solidarity could backfire if this lawsuit unraveled. When Blake Lively brought in a former CIA operative named Nick Shapiro to handle her crisis communications, the news alone jolted the entertainment world. Shapiro wasn't your standard Hollywood publicist. He was a man who once helped manage national security narratives, supposedly even dealing with controversial stories surrounding presidential figures. The implication was clear. Blake was willing to go to extreme lengths and presumably invest a substantial sum to regain control of the public narrative. On one hand, this signaled that her team anticipated a protracted war, not a quick settlement. On the other, it raised eyebrows. What did she have to hide that required an X-Files level of discretion? Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni was no slouch in the PR arena. Well before Blake filed her lawsuit, he hired Melissa Nathan, the same crisis manager who had famously assisted Johnny Depp during his high-profile trial against Amber Heard. That trial had become a media circus and ended with a large portion of the public siding with Depp, largely due to effective narrative management and a coherent legal argument. Baldoni, aware of Lively's star power, apparently knew he'd need someone with a proven track record of turning public sentiment around. According to rumors, the moment Blake discovered Baldoni had secured this formidable PR defense, she leaked the story to the press, hoping to paint him as a manipulator who was pulling a Johnny Depp. The tactic, however, backfired. Many saw it as a desperate attempt to control the story before it fully surfaced. These PR maneuvers, leaked documents, redacted HR complaints, and carefully timed press releases formed a separate theater of war, parallel to the actual courtroom proceedings. Hollywood watchers began to question which was more important, winning the lawsuit in front of a judge or winning over public opinion. In some ways, the lines blurred. If Blake and Ryan were convinced that controlling media headlines could strong-arm a settlement or push Baldoni to fold, they underestimated the ferocity of a counterattack by a PR firm that had navigated the brutal tempest of tabloid coverage before. Even if the evidence favored Baldoni, he had to ensure that the court of public opinion didn't convict him first. And that's precisely why both sides poured enormous resources into reputational warfare, each convinced the other was playing dirty tricks behind the scenes. With trial dates looming on the horizon and so much money, reputation, and career longevity at stake, neither side shows any sign of retreat. On Blake Lively's end, there's an emphasis on rallying industry allies. Those who remain loyal are presumably rewarded with continued connections to her husband's production deals, her star-powered endorsements, and that intangible benefit of being close to a major Hollywood couple. However, with each passing week, the circle of unwavering allies appears to shrink. Public sympathy is fickle, and the more details that emerge hinting at questionable tactics, like alleged intimidation of co-stars or heavily redacted HR documents that can't be verified, the more people find reasons to doubt Lively's version of events. Justin Baldoni, in contrast, is playing the long game. Every minor court victory, every piece of evidence that exonerates him, is amplified by his PR team and legal counsel. They want to present him as a wronged individual who dared to stand up against a powerful name. It's a compelling underdog story, especially in an industry that loves to champion the little guy, provided he has a solid case. Baldoni's approach also highlights the fickleness of Hollywood's moral compass, arguing that once influential names deemed him guilty, everyone else followed suit, but very few bothered to investigate the facts. Then there are the rumors surrounding Taylor Swift, who some claim is part of Blake Lively's Dragon Alliance. Although Swift herself hasn't publicly addressed the lawsuit, Fans know she's famously protective of her friends. Some suspect that quiet but formidable support from Swift's fanbase, the Swifties, might be mobilized if the case keeps dragging on. For now, it remains speculation whether that level of social media firepower could be unleashed, or even whether Swift endorses Lively's legal strategy behind the scenes. Still, the possibility is enough to unnerve those who remember the meltdown Swifties caused for a Philadelphia Eagles player's mother's restaurant when he teased Taylor online. This saga is far from over. Colin Jost's offhand remark on SNL merely blew the lid off a feud that had been quietly percolating for months, if not years. Underneath the public feints and comedic jabs, there's a much darker struggle for control of reputations, fortunes, and future legacies. Blake Lively, once a darling of both critics and fans, finds herself backed into a corner, ramping up efforts to prove her side of the story in court and in the media. Justin Baldoni, a relative unknown in comparison, battles not just for his personal vindication, but also for a chance to carve out a legitimate place in an industry that often favors the more famous. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' stumbles and comedic misfires have become a sideshow, raising doubts about how aligned he is with the gravity of his wife's claims. We're left with a puzzle that speaks to the very heart of Hollywood power dynamics. How a single well-timed joke and a swirl of rumor can either reaffirm a star's untouchable status or strip away a carefully nurtured image. While we wait to see if a courtroom provides a definitive answer, the battle for public opinion rages on in real time. Articles will continue to appear, suspiciously timed leaks will keep fueling new theories, and alliances in Tinseltown may shift as quickly as the headlines. The only certainty is that when the dust finally settles, if it ever does, there will be a reckoning about who told the truth, who orchestrated deceit behind the scenes, and just how far people will go to protect what they've built. For now, the questions remain: who's the real victim? Who's the villain? And how thin is the line between genuine pain and a masterclass in publicity spin? Hollywood hasn't seen a feud this layered in years, and the story is still writing itself. The cameras and paparazzi flashes only show a fraction of what's truly happening. Lawyers continue to file motions. PR teams orchestrate headlines. Former CIA operatives and tried-and-true crisis managers stay on high alert, all to win a war that's half fought in secret negotiations and half fought in the spotlight. It's a reminder that beneath the polished images and comedic bits, the entertainment industry is a battleground where each word, joke or otherwise, can tip the scales for good. And as this conflict surges toward its March 2026 trial date, everyone is watching to see which side the scales will ultimately favor, and whether any of the players will emerge from this labyrinth of rumors and allegations with their reputations intact.